Well, hello, Marina.
Hi,
Nice
Fran.
to see you again.
Thank you. It's great to
Yeah,
be here.
awesome. And I am so excited about this evening because it's the one we've been waiting for. We're talking about hope tonight, and
Right.
Marina is an expert on hope. She has been doing a lot of work with her clients on hope-related topics, and I am excited to get started, Marina.
Thank you,
So,
Fran.
how do you when we talk about hope, what's the first thing that comes into your mind?
Well, I guess if you don't know hopelessness, you don't really appreciate hope. And I've had experiences in my life that I had bouts of real hopelessness in my life where I felt really like I wanted to give up. I wanted to end it all. And in gratitude today, if I did not have my children, there were times when I was a single mother where I was struggling financially, where I would have liked to give up, where I life was just not working for me, and it was dark, it was difficult, it was a struggle. And I had to find, for the sake of my children, I had to find hope. I had to find a way to propel me forward. At that point in my life, I worked with seniors, and I always laugh because I was the program coordinator, but because of my background in the arts, they kept on adding things to my job. One day, I had a call from the board of the president of the board of directors, and she said to me, "Marina, I have a new job for you." I'm like, "What?" She said, "You our new choir director." And even though I sang in choirs, professional choirs, even all my life, I never directed one. And even though I have a music degree, I never directed one. But I'm okay. I'm up for it. And it was so much fun. And I guess the one thing that struck me more than anything else was how often those seniors, those old people who have seen so much in life would come into my office and tell me, "Thank you for giving me a reason to get out of bed today." And that's one thing that for a long time was missing in my own life. So I had to work extremely hard in getting hope. And it was not until the last year and a half that we all, as a society in this generation and in this weird life that we suddenly are living, that it really struck me that I feel so compelled to create hope for people, to help people realize that there is hope within themselves. And a few months ago, and I think it was in September, I advertised excuse me, a group session. And I said, if you need to find hope, I'm going to do this group session on Zoom. It was one Sunday morning, and a handful of people showed up. And it was very well received. And more than that, there were so many people who were interested. And that led me to starting this group, the Hopenning. And in my heart, it's as if I really want to create a movement to bring hope into the world. And my heart is that we all have hope within ourselves if we just go look for it. And in the last few days, we have been bombarded again by so many things about you have to live in fear. And with my South African background, having a lot of family and friends still in South Africa, knowing that this new strain of the virus that they claim to be from South Africa, it's hitting people I know and love very hard. And I have heard so many stories in the last week alone of people who cannot see their loved ones again for another year. And it's hard and it takes hope away. And I'm thinking again of seniors. Um, my generation of South Africans, we live all over the world. And so many of our parents have children who is all over the world and they cannot see them right now. And that's hard. That's hard for people. And that alone takes hope away. And I was thinking yesterday, Fran, I want to share my screen because I saw this, somebody sent me this as a joke. And I wanted to put that on our Facebook group, and I decided against it because, you know, if you don't present it in the right way, it can read extremely negative, and that's not the way I wanted to come across. But the message in there, okay, that's the wrong one. The message in there was just so powerful to me. So fear strikes. In the year 2000, it was Y2K that was going to destroy us. In 2001, anthrax, 2002, the West Nile virus, 2003, SARS, 2005, bird flu, 2006, E. coli, 2008, the financial collapse, 2009, swine flu, 2012, the end of the Mayan calendar, 2013, North Korea is going to cause World War III, 2014, Ebola, 2015, ISIS, 2016, the Zika virus, and then 2020. And then at the end, it says the truth is fear is going to kill us, and turn off the TV. That kind of made me laugh because that's one thing that I have done in the last year and a half. I have turned off the TV.
Mhm.
So,
I agree. You know, it never occurred to me until I saw your long list, but really, like for the last 20 years, 21 years, the media has really presented the face of fear in
right.
all kinds of ways, right? And you are absolutely right about that. Those phrases there could be taken one way or the other.
Right.
It could spark more fear in me because it's like, no wonder I'm so afraid. Or it could really go the other way, like you said, turn the TV off. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I remember even before that, when I read the list yesterday, I remember was it in the 90s where it was the ozone layer, the hole in the ozone layer. And, you know, I remember the fear. I remember the fear, like stop using aerosol and stop doing this. And this is bad for you. And I remember the fear when, can you remember Nostradamus?
Can
And
you remember the cruise missile crisis?
right, right.
Cruise.
It's the one thing after the other that's been thrown in our face. And so you know that what we focus on will increase. So right now, what are people talking about? People are talking about this virus. People are talking about the negatives. People have lost connection. So and you know, even though we talked about that in our last videos, the definition of depression, lost connections, not having purpose, and the negative self-talk. So, you know, when something like this comes up this morning, I had a fear and I thought to myself, my goodness, it's almost as if there's a little bit of a PTSD in me from this, because it was a year ago this week, the first week in December, a year ago, that my music business was shut down. Not by my choice. I went and really tried very hard to make it happen, to sing outside, to even sing for free, even though we normally charge for it because we're a professional group. And I couldn't. I was shut down, and I can remember the tremendous stress. And so this morning I had this bout of fear that went through my head, and that said, what if we get shut down again? And so, you know, even me trying to be happy-go-lucky, always positive, always creating hope, I'm human too. Things like that comes up for me. And then I remembered, have you ever heard of the lady Byron Katie?
Yeah, I love Byron Katie.
I love her too, because she has this way
Yeah.
to say, and I went through that this morning. My sister-in-law reminded me of it last week. Are you sure it's going to be shut down again? No, I'm not. And it's that list that she would go through, like, are you sure? For example, I think Fran is angry at me. Are you sure Fran is angry at you? No, no. So
Yeah.
that those things that you can go through, and I think the tools that we have in our life. So right now, am I sure that all these negative things are going to happen? No, I'm actually not. I'm not. No,
No, we are really not sure about anything, are we, Marina?
no.
And one thing I have learned over the years, which has helped me a lot, is to remember we have no idea what tomorrow will bring, one way or the other.
Okay.
So we looked at your long list there. What brings me back to the idea of hope is when you said um, people have to have a reason to get out of bed in the morning, right?
Yeah.
And you mentioned your own children, the fact that your own children got you out of bed, and that these seniors, you got the seniors out of bed.
Yeah.
So we all need a reason to get out of bed in the morning. And do you think that if we feel that we're needed, that we have a greater chance of getting out of the depression, getting out of the sadness, getting out of the fear, if someone needs us, if we
Well,
feel someone needs us?
I think it comes back to that whole thing of purpose. If you have purpose, then you have a reason to get out of bed. And we can have a short-term purpose and we can have a long-term purpose. And I want again, I want to use my own life as an example because in 2017, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I went on a hormonal treatment after my mastectomy. And that really caused me to react very negatively. And one thing that happened is I started to gain weight and I had no control. I felt completely out of control of my own life. And the other thing is I got really depressed. And at that moment, I had a different business and there were some parts of the business I liked, but there were other parts of the business that was really hard. Um, it it really made me feel helpless again. It was an import business, and when the products broke, even though it was somebody else who broke it, I was still financially penalized by the government warehouse. So it was those things that caused so much stress in me, and I tried my best to still show up. And but it was hard. And now suddenly I had this excuse to just some days just stay in bed. I had devastating surgery. I lost a body part. And then my reconstructive surgery was a 10-hour surgery. And it was tough. So, but I would stay in bed and I would watch Netflix. And I look back to that and I, tongue in the cheek, I call it my year of Netflix. And I would, like this time of year, even I still cannot watch these Hallmark Christmas movies. I just cannot watch them because I overdosed on them, watching them over and over again. My 10-hour surgery was end of October, and this is when all these movies shows up. So I was watching them. I was binge watching like 5 a day, and I kind of giggle today because I know them so well that I can actually write the plot for you. But I call it my year of Netflix. So the following year, I was turning 50, and my husband and I decided we're going to go on a trip. And suddenly I had purpose. We're going to go on a European trip. And he said to me, I want you to organize everything. Man, I was working hard for months. I planned everything. I planned almost everything down to the meal we're going to eat that day. And it kept me busy. I had purpose. I was excited. I had reason to get out of bed. We got back from our European trip and I was remembering that I was okay. In my head, it was what now? What am I going to do next? And it was my 50th birthday coming up. And my husband said, I'm too busy to organize it. Organize it. Do whatever you want. And man, I threw the biggest party, and I had fun. I sang at my own birthday party, and it was the day after. It was on a Saturday. The Sunday was kind of debriefing, and Monday morning, when my husband went to work, I was struck with a sense of, I have no reason to be here today. I'm just a waste of space. I'm a waste of oxygen. I have no purpose. And if I didn't have my wonderful family, I would probably have been really in a bad place. And it was during that time, Fran, that I really can appreciate how Wayne Dyer always said that when the student is ready, the teacher will show up. And I was sitting there in depression. I actually turned the TV on and I was thinking, okay, what can I watch today on Netflix? And the heaviness of that was just too much for me. And I realized I cannot do it. And I was sitting there crying out, help. I just cannot do this anymore. And I turned my phone on and there was an ad for somebody like you and me who showed up for me. And it was just what I needed. And for the first time in my life, I realized that my depression and everything where I am is because I don't feel I have purpose. I don't know why I'm here. I want to know, why was I created? Why was I born? And for the first time when I did this work with this lady, I developed the courage to stand up and say, I desire more than anything else in life to help other people. First of all, I wanted to master my life. And second of all, I wanted to help other people. And it was like this load that came off me the moment I expressed that out loud for the first time in my life.
Well, Marina, that makes me think about a discussion that I was having in my classroom today. And it was about, we were reading a story about kids that they had written the children had written a story in a book, and they were the same age as my students, and they created a club called the Helping Hands Club. And it was all about how these children had done volunteer work. And my students could not think of anything that they could possibly do to volunteer. And they were just sitting there. And I'm like, I went like this. And I said, anything, is there anything you could possibly do to make somebody's life better? And then there was one person that said, yeah, I could walk somebody's dog for them. And then across the room, it was like, oh, I could babysit somebody's baby. And it took a collective brainstorm, from there, until it was lots of them could think of ideas. But at the beginning, they were blank. So it makes me think about what you said about connection too, about connecting with people, how important that is, not just to hope, to building purpose, even connections. Can you speak a little bit about the connection part?
I would love to. In our training, when I studied rapid transformational therapy, one of the prescribed books is the book by Johann called Lost Connections. And that is probably one of my favorite books ever. And it really spoke to me because a part of that, he talked about this community in Berlin, where it was a lot of immigrants from very diverse backgrounds who moved into this community. But traditionally and culturally, a lot of them would not even speak to each other. It was just, they were mortal enemies. So they would live in this big apartment building, and it was low income housing. When there was one day a lady who put a sign in a window because she couldn't afford rent. Her circumstances was absolutely dismal. She, you have to read the book. I cannot recommend that book highly enough. And she put the sign in her window and she said to all her neighbors, that don't be alarmed, but tomorrow I have to kill myself. And one by one, the neighbors started to knock on her door and ask her what's going on. So she would tell them her story, like they're raising the rent. Is no more money. She's older. She's gonna pretty much be homeless. And the news started to spread among all the neighbors. And they started to do a vigil, like a protest outside in the street. And they formed a new community to the point where they changed the civic laws in Berlin. Because of that, they all came together and they formed a community, and they started to share, food, and they started to do 24-hour a night vigil. It is a fascinating story.
Mhm.
And this book is about depression, and he talks a lot about the source of depression, and in his own experience is definitely a loss of connection. And that makes me think so much of what we have been through as a society in the last almost 2 years now. Lost connections. I think of myself and my husband. We went hiding. And even though we are extremely blessed with where we are, but we have such an amazing relationship. I also know of people who were so much in each other's company that they actually split up after this lockdown. And so we have so much to be grateful for. But I know people, I still have contact with the seniors that I used to work with, some of them, they are so lonely. And the fear that is driving them. There's a young man that I spoke with last weekend who is so afraid. He's afraid to connect with people. And it's interesting. I'm going to share my screen again because I saw this on Facebook today, and I had to copy it, and it's in the same document. What makes life so difficult? People. And it struck me because when I'm in the city and I have a big dog. When I walk my dog now, in the past, I'm friendly. I always have a smile on my face. I'm always like, hi, how are you? How's it going? And suddenly, people are storming past me. They are walking miles around me. There's no more friendliness, or very little. It's as if people fear people. People fear connection, because with connection came something that's contagious. I think one of the most beautiful things we can give each other is a friendly hug. It's gone. Can I do that?
Well, Marina, that makes me think about myself, because I'm a lot like you. So if I'm in the grocery store or whatever, back in the day, you pass somebody, you smile. In the post
Right.
office, you pass somebody, you smile. Well, we're all masked now.
Exactly. Like try and smile like that. If you
Right,
don't really use your eyes, nobody can really see that.
exactly. Some people are really good at detecting a smile in people's eyes.
Right.
So, like you can just tell a person is smiling by the way their eyes look. So I wonder, I think about connections, and I wonder, is it possible, if we can't smile with our lips, if we can smile with our eyes and look into people's eyes and actually make eye contact?
Right.
I do this sometimes because little kids don't have to wear masks here, and the adults do. So if there's a small child and she's looking at me, you know how little kids do, they look up, there's a stranger, I'm with daddy, so I'm safe. I often wink at them, just wink,
Yeah.
just to acknowledge them, because back in the day we could smile, right? Or, we could comment, but behind a mask, sometimes it's even difficult to hear each other. So just a wink, or a little raised eyebrow, a little bit funny looking across your eyes at people. It's like a hello without even having to speak.
Right.
So I think people in general, the ones that are able to, are becoming more inventive with it,
Right.
even though we're following the rules still.
It's interesting because I also feel that, and this is something I pay attention to a lot, I feel that we also have lost eye contact a bit. People are scared of people, so they're storming past people a lot in grocery stores. They don't talk anymore. I'm the kind of person that will start to talk to strangers. My poor husband sometimes feels quite embarrassed. But we've even lost that. But I have to tell you, friends, sometimes I think this is exactly what we should do. I went to the mall last week and there was this guy wearing a mask, and the mask was a big grin. It was just so amazing. I just love that. And so, so I guess what I really would love to see is, what can we do? What can we do to bring hope in the situation we are in today? And it starts with ourselves. And I feel that anything in life is energy. So the first thing is that, what do we talk about? Are we keep on talking about this virus, a new strain? Are you afraid? What are you gonna do now to hide from this? How are you gonna keep safe? Uh, I have witnessed so many miracles in my own life and in other people's lives, that I can tell you now that I believe in absolute the power of our minds and the ability to heal ourselves. And I have seen loss, I have seen death, I have seen a lot of things in my life. And I do know that there are things in our lives that we can bring over ourselves. And there are things that we can make the choice not to invite them in. And I can speak from this because I have really walked a journey with cancer. And even after my treatments and everything else, I had some scares. And even now, it's not quite 5 years yet. And you know how they say that the 5-year mark is quite important. Every time I have to think that I now have to go back for my yearly screening, it is difficult for me. I get PTSD. Because oh my gosh, I cannot unsee that day that I knew something was wrong. And it was a couple of years ago when I went back, and very similar to here, I was diagnosed. They kept coming back for more tests. No, we have to do another this, or we have to do another that, about 5 times. And I'm sitting there, I'm alone, my heart is racing. And then they said, okay, your doctor will get the results in 24 hours. Well, it was December and I didn't hear anything back in 24 hours. So I was like, yay, everything is great. But you know what, early January, I did get the call and there was something wrong, but then COVID happened. And I just decided, you know what, I'm not going to be sick. I'm not. So what is there that I can do from where I am with what I have? It's one of my favorite quotes. What can I do from where I am with what I have? Where I was when I was supposed to go for more tests, I was sitting in a little corner of a rural community with like 10, I don't even think there are 10 families living here full time.
Mhm.
The nearest doctor is a long drive away. And at that moment, everything closed. What can I do? I can look at my diet. I can take better care of myself. I can meditate every day. I can be as positive as I can. And I can say, you know what? I have purpose. I want to live. I want to be here. I have so much to give. I have so much to live for. And I can just focus on that. What do you focus on? Or I can focus on this abnormal lymph node that's sitting in my neck. I can focus on that. And it was hard. And there were some days that I was devastated. But you know what? It went away. A year ago, I could go back for my test and it was confirmed that I'm healthy.
Mhm.
So I believe in miracles.
Yeah.
I really do. So what do we focus on? How do we help each other through this slump of something new to fear today. Let's add it to the list. So, as I said, energy, I believe everything is energy. It's contagious. So a smile is contagious. Like your class brainstorm today in how can they do hope. There's a community in Calgary that I heard about, a lady that we had dinner with the other night they live in a cul-de-sac, and she went and she gathered the email addresses and phone numbers of every one of their neighbors. And she started this online group where they check in on each other every day. And in the heat of everything, they made a tribute in their community to the healthcare professionals. And they would provide meals and they would do something special. And then when things started to wind down at the end of the summer, they had a massive block party with live music every day. I envy that. I envy that. I would love that. What can we do? What can we do from where we are with what we have today? What is there that I can do today to give so much love and acceptance to that lady who now cannot see her children over Christmas because they cannot go to South Africa? What can I do for her? This is the way to brainstorm. I put this on our Facebook group the other day, and this is to me just a great example of how contagious everything is. Emotions are so contagious, and I'm keep on sharing this, but I want to do this again because it's just one of the most beautiful things to me. So I quickly want to go there.
And that's a Coca-Cola commercial.
I just want to stop this.
So Marina, that kind of reminds me of what happened in the classroom again today. So I have this girl, and she sits in the corner for a good reason. She's a talker. She's a talker. So I have to put her far back. Otherwise, she'll get everybody else going around her. And she's got her mask on and she's working and she's humming, right?
Oh.
She's humming a song. And everybody kind of perks up, right? Because it's like, where's that sound coming from? Where is it coming from? And she doesn't even realize she's humming, but it's just so beautiful. It's so spontaneous and it's so natural and it's so relaxed. And she doesn't know she's doing it, but we can hear it. And it's just, it's sweet, right? And it's innocent, and it's something like your video there because it's just being human and spontaneous. And that's what I think we need more of. We need more humanness, spontaneity, innocence, and ourselves, right? Let's be ourselves, even if we have to wear a mask, even if we have to hand sanitize, even if we have to do all of that stuff. Can we just be ourselves again? Maybe we can be better than ourselves, because back in the day, I don't know if we were it's really difficult on a bus to get a response from anyone. It's so you're on your phone or you're
You
on your
are,
whatever,
yes, yes. We were
social.
in my singing group, we were singing at Spruce Meadows last Friday, and when we had a break at some point, the four of us were sitting on a bench and we were drinking our coffee or hot chocolate, whatever it was. And one of the guys said, look, we're all four on our phones. Even that simple thing, put the phone down, connect,
Put the phone down.
connect. And give that girl in your class a microphone. Let her sing out loud. Let her spread that.
Oh,
Again, where's your focus? Can we reshift our focus? Can we find something today to start humming about? Can we start that ripple effect of a smile? Can we go to the store and smile and say hello and just connect with people again? Can we, when we hear of somebody in trouble, can we reach out? More than that, friend, can any person who's watching you and me today and feel that they are desperate to find hope again, can they contact us and say, hey, I need help? This is exactly why you and I are doing what we're doing. That's why we have the Hopenning. We want hope to be happening, because when people have hope, it's something that spills over from their inside. And it's that ripple effect. It's like that guy on the train laughing. When you have hope, you spread hope. You cannot help it. It's beautiful. And why don't we make that contagious? Why don't we choose? Today, I'm focusing on something that's contagious, but it's so beautiful. It's so light-giving. It's so freeing. It can bring a light to somebody else who needs it.
And Marina, when we can make somebody else feel good, we feel better. It's a little bit of selfishness. I think it's a little bit of selfishness on our part, but it grows as well. So if I were to open the door for someone, if they're carrying all these parcels or whatever out of the store, out of the post office, right? And I'm opening the door for them. I want to feel like, look, I'm helping somebody, right? And yet there's a mind shift there where I do feel good. It's not because I helped somebody else. It's because they helped me to feel good. There's a shared connectedness in there without even planning it.
Yeah.
It's strange about the power of goodness, the power of kindness. It's exponential, and it doesn't just help the person that got helped. It helps both people to feel purposeful, to feel important, to feel like they're special.
Right. And so that this brings me, it's kind of a segue for me into the third point that we didn't talk about yet. So we talked about the lost connections. We talked about purpose. Why do a lot of people refrain from acting, refrain from doing something? It's that they don't believe they're good enough. They don't believe that they can make a difference. They have this negative self-talk that tells them to stop. You're just going to embarrass yourself. And so that, to me, I think is one of the most important things, to start to tell yourself a different story. Start to tell yourself, actually, what if somebody needs you today? What if that one smile? What if that one act of encouragement can save somebody's life today? What if it can save your life today? What if it can give you purpose today? So that's one of the things that I think we can birth hope inside ourselves by changing the words we speak in our own minds towards ourselves.
Yeah, so many people never feel good enough, right? And yet, who decided how much enough was? Not
Good
good enough.
question. Yeah, good
Did
question.
enough have to be that big?
Yes.
Or Was enough okay to be enough? Who decided how much enough would be?
Right.
I'm not
Right.
good enough. I'll never
You
be
know,
good.
I always use the analogy I pretty much with all my clients of the radio station. There's a seed that gets planted inside our subconscious minds as children. It's normally, you know this, it's 9 out of 10 times, actually more than that, in our childhood, where that seed of doubt is starting to grow inside of us. It's planted there. That seed that tells you, you know, maybe I'm a child who hummed in class and who was told, Marina, be quiet. It probably had happened. Be quiet, stop humming, or we don't want to hear you sing, you know, you need to be quiet, or stop doing this, stop doing that. And immediately there's this negativity that starts growing in me that make me think, but why do I have to stop going? Am I not good enough? Like, what is wrong with me? And then it's like a radio station. And then maybe when you're older, somebody say something to you. For example, maybe somebody would say, okay, I'm just thinking, I'm just being very creative in my thinking now, just for examples. Maybe when you're a teenager, somebody will say to you, well, I don't like your singing. I think you sing poorly. And suddenly you dampen. And it's that radio station inside yourself telling, maybe I shouldn't try to sing. Maybe I'm just not good enough. And so that radio station through your life just becomes, you feed it all the time. You listen to it all the time. You focus on it all the time. And I mentioned the example the other day when I was a young person and I was offered a scholarship to go study opera in Italy. And I thought of an excuse not to go because I listened to that radio station. And that radio station gave me fear. It gave me fear to step out into the world, to go do something that I didn't look for it. It came to me, but I declined it. I'm like, no, I'm not good enough. And, you know, so our job today is to help people to change that radio station, to find that radio station where they can feel, you know what, I am good enough. I am more than enough. I've always been enough. To help them to become their own cheerleader, to help to have us to be their cheerleaders and tell them every day that actually you are freaking awesome. You
Mhm.
go and conquer the world. Don't hold back. Hum as much as possible. There's a microphone. Go. Have fun.
Yeah. And whether it's singing or whether it's art, or whether it's dancing or whether it's public speaking or whatever the fear is that you're not good enough, that it's time to change that, right? It's time to, and small baby steps, baby steps.
I love this saying, dance like nobody's watching.
Yeah.
And I love that if we can start to detach ourselves from others and literally dance like nobody's watching, sing like nobody's watching, put ourselves out there to be friendly like nobody's watching, like it doesn't matter,
Mhm.
because it
Yeah.
will lift us and it will lift other people. And
And you know, um, the truth is people like other people better that are human and not perfect.
right,
So if I sing off key, or if I don't draw my mountains like mountains, maybe they look like bums.
mhm,
I I like you better because now I feel like it's okay to not be perfect too.
right,
Let's be not perfect together.
exactly,
Let's be
exactly.
best friends who are both not perfect and accept each other the way we are,
We
because
are
that's
perfectly imperfect.
absolutely,
Yeah,
it's a lot more fun to know you're imperfect
yeah,
than to think you have to be perfect.
exactly, exactly.
Mhm.
So anyway, I am so excited that we are doing this, and I think what I want to leave with today is to ask everybody to tell us, what can you do to bring hope, first of all, for yourself, And what can you do to bring hope to others? One of my go-to things is a gratitude journal. I like to start my mornings with a gratitude journal. I know some people like to do that in the evenings. So I like to get up, and the first thing, I come sit in this chair with my cup of coffee, and I have my journal open, and I write, today I am grateful for. And I write it down, and it can be, I am grateful for my wonderful dog that gives me so much love. I am grateful for my husband, who is my best friend. I am grateful for the mild fall we are having. It's beautiful weather. I am grateful for, the list can go on and on and on, but it sets up my day. It changes my day. It gives me hope for my day. So what can you do today to be happy, to have hope, and not just to keep it in you, but to radiate that sense of hope to the outside world?
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to hear what people are grateful for.
That would be fantastic. So, Fran, next week you are going to talk about anxiety.
I am going to talk about anxiety next week. That's right.
Wonderful.
Anxiety.
I'm
And
looking forward to that.
I am too. Does it make me anxious? That much. Because it's always good to have a little bit of healthy anxiety, but when anxiety gets out of control and starts spiraling your life going down, that's when it's unhealthy. So we're going to talk about the difference between healthy anxiety, healthy fear, and unhealthy anxiety, which controls a person's life.
Wonderful. Really looking forward to that, and very grateful for this night and doing this. And we will see each other next week.
Sounds wonderful.
So again, if anybody have questions, if anybody feels that they need help with this, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or Fran or both of us anytime. We are here to help. We are living our dream, and that's to be here for you. Okay. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Bye-bye. God bless.